I'm a futurist at a movie studio, which is a very odd job. I work in the motion picture industry, which makes their living creating pretend, and I have a pretend job in a pretend industry. I'm gonna make a prediction here, a futurist prediction, that we have 100% saturation in this room of something we would define as pocket robots, and you use it more than you think. You might call it a smartphone, or an iPhone, or an Android phone. If you have one, take it out. We're gonna do a little experiment. Hand them to the person next to you. Swap phones. Now it's getting interesting, right? Take those phones and put them in your pockets. You feeling a little nervous, a little uncomfortable? The goal is to see how long you can hold out. I just set the stage for something that I like to call the augmented human. Now, we call those phones, but really they're little robot friends. And you use them in robotic ways all the time. They're attached to you and connected to you in very robust, interesting ways. Now that you don't have that little pocket robot friend with you, if you did end up in prison, they take your phone away, right? So who would you call? Would you actually know the digits, the number? Some of you wouldn't. It would be difficult, right? Maybe you know one or two other phone numbers, but if they don't answer the phone, you're screwed. You don't know anybody's phone number. Your pocket robot knows the phone number. You have given away some of your brain, some of your humanity to technology. And we seem to be quite comfortable doing this, right? I presume some of you drive sometimes, right? Try and think about the last time you drove anywhere without firing up your pocket robot and saying, even though I know how to go there, please tell me which way you would go, Mr. Robot. What are the right ways to do this? So this is a thing that is actually happening maybe more often than you realize. I believe this sort of at my heart, that you have to do things so you don't get run over. You have to just not think about the fact that it's going to change. You have to be part of the change. And I think this center is probably a good example of that. What I study as a field of study is something I refer to as the 10-year curve. We actually look backwards to see where things are going in the future. So if you look at these statistics, it's really interesting. These are US-based statistics. In the 1950s, about 10% of the people in the United States had this thing called a television set. In 10 years, almost everybody had a television set. In the next 10-ish years, almost everyone on the planet, with very few exceptions, had a television. So we know YouTube, right? This is the very, very first YouTube video. This was about 10 years ago. Now, I don't know if anybody could have predicted that this would have created a media revolution. This is the study of 10 years at a time. So, started in 1997, 10 years later, they ship 1 billion DVD. 10 years later, we have 100, now I think we're about 130 million subscribers of this service. And it is a force to be reckoned with in the entertainment business. So here's the landscape of retail in the United States in 2006. 10 years later, that's retail. All of these companies had a chance to not let what happened to them happen to them. But they had difficulty finding their way. I grew up right there, in Central Florida, right in the middle of the funnel of crazy, in a place that relished creativity, that relished risk, that understood that things are always going to change, that we're not going to live in the same place. We're going to try a lot of things. I literally grew up in the world of the future. I want to draw a slightly different dynamic of spatial entertainment, which is actually different than immersion, because you get your physicality into it. It starts to become more real. Virtual reality is not a new thing by any stretch of the imagination. If you look at the dates of these magazines, 1995, VR goes mass market. Well, didn't quite work out that way now, did it? The question I keep proposing is, are we ready now? Are you ready? Are you ready to feel what this is like? I think you are. Now, this is where we sit today, okay? All those smartphones that are God knows where they are now, they look a lot different than this. This is where we are in the world of virtual reality today. I often refer to it as we're in the brick cell phone days of virtual reality. We're in the very, very early stages. It's clunky, it's heavy. It's problematic, but it's also wonderful, just like making a phone call from the beach was wonderful back then. These are remarkable machines in many ways. 100% success in my book. These are not ready for mass market yet. There's a big reason these are not ready for mass market yet. It stands for box on face, BOF. That's the problem with these things. They are not the right thing. So is there something beyond the BOF, the box on the face? You know who that is? He's got a HoloLens on. There is something beyond the box on the face. This is still not right, not even close yet. But it's more right than a box on your face. It's going to look like your glasses. It's going to look like what you're wearing right now. People often ask that haven't had a chance to do it, what does it look like? Why do we do this? And I'm going to show you what I mean by spatial entertainment.
So I'm not supposed to be doing anything right now, right?
Cool. Ah, this is so cool. I'm in a spacesuit. Whoa.
I'm on it.
Oh. Oh, hi.
This is the most awesome thing that's ever happened to me.
Glad you liked it.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
That's it. How was it?
Wow. Wow.
So that gives you a sense. Do you see what's happening? They're not just watching it, they're living it. But we're still on the early side of this curve. We're still just a few years into this current iteration of virtual reality starting to become something. Let me take you one more step to the future. This is where it gets a little scary, a little dystopian. If I could tell you that at some point in time there'll be a patch, like a little Nicorette patch, you'll be able to put it on your temple. You'll be able to take it off whenever you want. It is not science fiction. There are people working on this kind of stuff right now. And I can give you lots of other examples of things that will go right onto our retinas, various experimentations of drawing light onto our eyes in ways that are really unique and really special. A user interface, a productivity interface that is suddenly transparent and everywhere when you wear it. It can be as big or small as you want. You can have multiple things working. So think about, your desktop computer, your laptop computer, your mobile phone. Imagine you could virtualize that and remove its physical embodiment, remove the restriction of the fact that it's a physical thing. Because we're in the future, I thought I would bring a virtual version of myself that I am controlling myself in real time by wearing a mocap suit in my backyard. And since we're at a Virtual Humans conference, I thought I would bring my own virtual human and have a conversation with myself about the future. So things I would ask my virtual human are, what's it like to be a virtual human? And he would probably say, it's really interesting because you don't have to eat, you don't have to sleep unless you want to. You can wear the same clothes every day, or you can change your clothes instantly. That's some of the nice things about being a virtual human. And you never grow old unless you want to, and you never gain weight or lose weight unless you want to. So I'm being lit just by a flashlight in my backyard so that we can use the projector behind me, as it were, and sort of talk about things as someone in the future would be doing this. So I think we're in the year 2030 now, and this is very commonplace, and everyone has got avatar of themselves, or multiple avatars of themselves, wearing different outfits and from different time frames that they use for different purposes. So we can feed these into virtual reality glasses and augmented reality and mixed reality glasses that everybody has. Just like in the years before, everyone had a smartphone. Now everyone has their smart wearables, their smart glasses, and we all have avatars that we can control and manipulate anywhere we want. And we don't even have to show up in the scene. We can just have our avatar do all the work for us. So that's kind of a virtual me. Someday this will be very commonplace. Everyone will have fish swimming around them and floating around in the ocean like this. This level of fidelity of digital human and what you saw there is pretty amazing. So we had success on the first one. Now, if everything else goes bad, just remember the first one worked. Well, I'm sure you all recognize this device. I'm going to start with this one. This is the Microsoft HoloLens. I think we're on a curve here. And everything that I'm using today is somewhere on this curve from wrong to right. It kind of is leaning still on the wrong side. So everything that we're doing, while the essence of it is amazing and where we're headed with it is really, really valuable. So what we did is we rigged up on the HoloLens, without getting any permission from Microsoft or anybody, a little tiny camera right in front of one of the eyepieces. But I'm going to put it on, and if all goes well, so now you should probably see what I see. Is that right? and you see what I'm doing here in terms of how to use it. This is an application called Fragments. As I like this entertainment experience, and I thought I'd show this to you because this was a really formative piece of entertainment for me in the HoloLens. So you see all this stuff is kind of happening around me, right? So that was step 2 of our little world of mixed reality. Next on our little tour, now given I still look a little like a Terminator, so we're getting there. Remember, still a little bit wrong, but getting more right, which I'm very enthused by. So this is a device that I sometimes get to wear on an airplane, and I watch a movie while everybody else is busy watching it on a little screen like this. I've got my own little personal high-res theater, which is pretty great. Okay, so that's the ODG. 2 for 2. Pretty good, right? And next on our little cavalcade of fun. So these devices are relatively costly. The other route you can go to get legitimate augmented reality is you can use something called a Mira device. So this is a really cool device. It can kind of like packable, right? You can sort of do this with it. And it basically just mounts an iPhone, or eventually an Android phone, inside this like head-mounted sort of rig like this. You pop it on, you turn it on. This device you should pay attention to because this device has an extraordinarily wide field of view and it runs off Steam VR. You wear it like this, and it's super comfortable. And I am actually looking at this crazy sort of world, and the field of view is extremely wide. So this is a product called DigiLens, which is an OEM product that's going to go in lots of devices. And they've basically found a very way to make this extremely light and extremely small, and they printed the visual onto this. And this is mounted in a motorcycle helmet now to do augmented reality, and it's fantastic. So this is a device called the Mix. This very interesting company called AntVR, which just raises money on Kickstarter. There's another company called Nreal that a lot of people know about yet, Chinese company. It's building extremely small, extremely lightweight, wearable devices. That's a prototype that's actually a working device. It's almost the size of your glasses now. And remember, we're only 2018, so imagine where we're going to be in 5 years when they keep working on this stuff. This is curving into the right side of the equation. We're getting there. This is the kind of thing you're going to want to buy, not the box on the face. But no futurist would be complete without studying robotics. The only thing I would recommend that you check out is something called the ROS. It stands for the Robot Operating System. Some books. If you still like to do the original virtual reality medium called reading a book, these are 3 of my favorite books. If you're interested in what we're doing to ourselves as people, and the technology surrounding it, read a book called Future Crimes by an author named Mark Goodman. This is a fascinating study. If you're interested in doing what I do for a living, this is our Bible. Read a book called The Innovator's Dilemma. And if you work in a creative business that is struggling in some way, shape, or form, read Creativity Inc. Every single human that works in the entertainment business should read Creativity Inc. It's Ed Catmull's book, one of the guys that created Pixar. These are like a little mini library of innovation and humanity.